Hello, welcome everyone. This is Mihai Algiu, and this is my friend and guest, Andre Bolouri. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you. Oh, Mihai.
Yeah, so this is, for some of you who are watching these episodes, this is part of this Psychotherapy and Non-Duality, where I seek to interview either therapists or spiritual teachers, or and we are talking at the intersection between these two domains that are usually seemingly not connected. So this area of spirituality, awakening, enlightenment teachings, presence, non-duality, higher self, these kind of talks, intersecting with this department of processing, limiting beliefs, trauma, addiction, wounds, somatic psychotherapy. So that's my, let's say that's my platform, and I invite different people. So this time it's unusual, and I'm very happy and excited to interview you, Andre. Yeah, so Andre is a personal good friend of mine, like a brother, and I've known you for, I don't know, over 20 years, and I know you are not. I know you are not a psychotherapist, but yeah, we walked alongside during our spiritual path, and we are going to talk about that. And then at some point, you went back to Germany, where you are now. So thanks for making time. And I know you continued your spiritual research and your spiritual practice different ways, and we stayed in touch. And I think last year we met again. We retuned and caught up with where we are and what's our focus of our work or expression. And yeah, I asked you when you came a few months ago here, I asked you, I was interested in your, I know that you're an actor, director, and acting teacher. And I asked you about the possibility of using this improv acting or acting techniques in order to stir subconscious material, bring to awareness patterns and various limiting things. And I was there with a friend, and I remember that within 5 minutes, you set up some exercise where my friend and myself, we were crying, having deep buried feeling that we had about our parents. And I was like, wow, that's very cool. So it dawned this idea of actually doing a collaboration, which we are going to do very soon, a workshop where we're going to use this, your method of conscious acting framework, but not from the point of view of how to be a better actor, how to get a role. We are not necessarily interested in that, but using this, your method, to explore ourselves, to bring up what is not aligned with the truth and authentic in ourselves. And anyway, I'm stoked to have this collaboration with you soon. And anyway, so that's the context. So once again, I'll give the floor to you, Andre. So yeah.
Okay. Just start introduce myself, or you have a specific question?
Yeah, I think if you can introduce yourself and yeah, your beginnings. I'm interested in how you started to become aware of the spiritual impulse or the evolutionary impulse in your life, where you were at, what was happening in your life. And then I know that we met we were early 20 for me. We met in California. We were part of this spiritual community, fourth way Gurdjieff Uspensky tradition. So if you can share a little bit your early beginnings up to there.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Well, where should I start? So I basically was, when I joined the spiritual community, when I started my spiritual path, I was 30 and at a very dark place in my life. I would say I've tried to find somehow a connection to my purpose find a reason to be. And until then, I was just looking for some sort of identity. Basically, I would say was without any identity or something I could identify with. And that's basically the reason why I went into acting, because I thought in acting I would find it. And if not, I would at least find fame and build something on that. And since that all failed in a way, or the idea failed, that opened the way to spirituality. And if I go all the way back, maybe I was born in East Berlin, which was socialistic at that time in 1970. But my father was from West Berlin. So I grew up very early with two belief systems, socialist and capitalist. And then I moved to West Berlin. We were allowed to leave East Berlin, but I spent most of my free time in East Berlin. So I was going to school in West Berlin, being in a Western system, capitalism, and spending my weekends and vacations in East Berlin, being a socialist kid. So I was very confused from early on. And plus, my father is from Iran. My mother is German. So I grew up with two cultures, basically closer to the German one because I didn't have much contact to my father. But basically, I didn't have any sort of grounding, something I could hold on to, or some role model or anything. And looking back, that was basically the whole engine that kept me driving, looking for an identity. And so I think naturally I went into acting, because that's where you try to find an identity, and trying different roles, trying to be someone, being on stage, being looked at or in front of the camera, to get some kind of acknowledgement, to have the feeling, oh, I'm here, I'm seen, and trying to make sense out of all that. So I see acting as a doorway, because in the end you don't find identity in acting, or I think I looked in the wrong way. That's
So if I can interrupt here, so it seems like you started
yes.
early on, even before you became aware of consciously of interest in a spiritual path. So this acting stayed with you all these like 30 years or more.
Right.
Just your relationship to it or the purpose of it kind of changed, but you stayed with acting. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because I think through acting, I came to realize what it means to be me. Because if I talk generally about it, most people that go into acting want to be someone, or you create a role, you try to be good at something, you try to learn a technique, you try to improve yourself through technique. And in the end, what I came to realize after also teaching acting for 20 years is that the best actors are those that don't do anything, that are actually comfortable with who they are, that don't try to be something, but are comfortable being who they are, and bring that to the movie, bring that to the role, bring that on stage. They have what we call presence or charisma. And basically that's how acting stayed with me, because I was fascinated by that, and also coming closer and closer to the, let's say, truth of acting, to be a truthful actor, what it means, because I was searching so much for it. And in the end, I think I found some answers in acting, and that again helped me on my spiritual path.
Yeah. I don't
that
know if
makes
it's
sense. I hope it makes sense.
what you think about this, but some of my teachers, sometimes they appreciate acting, and they were saying that a good actor is someone who is empty of himself. So somehow he can fully embody any body, and when they embody that character. They are not like Mihai or Andre. They are fully that Joe Doe. So some ability to be empty of transparent. Interesting. Is that what you find?
Well, I'm not sure if I would say empty. Maybe empty in a way that you allow your soul to come into being, that you allow your truth to come into being and don't have a mask. You don't wear a mask. You don't try to be someone. You don't try to please. You don't try to impress. You're maybe, I would say, empty in a way that you allow to be yourself, that you allow yourself to be aligned with who you are. And that flows through you. That is present.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like some kind of empty. I meant not like empty of personality, of what would they think of
Exactly.
me?
Yeah.
Am I good enough? Would they
Yeah.
love me? Like, so empty of this inner static, and then the space is more like I guess what you would call the soul expressing itself spontaneously.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree to that fully.
So interesting, hearing your story and this sense of ungrounded. Who am I? I need to find something to identify with, and lost, and then it's interesting. And then we both, you ended up, from different part of the world in the same spiritual community that was offering the ultimate teaching that we thought at that time, the ultimate teaching to wake up, and
Right.
which was given to us by, which was a beautiful fourth way Gurdjieff-Uspensky teaching connected to awakening, connected to this kind of mindfulness, bringing presence, observing oneself, some very sophisticated and robust, noble endeavor. At the same time, at the head of the ship was a powerful, charismatic father figure. So what I can, look at myself, but hearing your story, usually, and knowing therapeutically what's happening, the absence of the father, or the father not being in the picture, contributes to the son feeling lost and confused. And who am I? Trying to find, to imitate. I remember myself, I wanted to be like this, to be like that, to be like them, to and then when I had the first teacher, whom I think we both projected a lot of ideal qualities on him. Somehow there was, seemingly we met the father, or the ideal father, grandfather, God archetype, and somehow that was seemingly very fulfilling for some time. So yeah, if you can share anything about, the gold and the juice of being part of that community, and the side effects or the stuckness, or what happened for you.
Sure. Well, I guess the father figure is part of it, but also, trying to find a community where I belong was a big issue. Again, because I was born in East Berlin, living in West Berlin, not knowing where I belong, growing up with two belief systems, not having a father who is present is a big thing, of course, and contributed to the whole thing. But also trying to belong somewhere, trying to have an identity with something, and that, once you find a spiritual community where you feel, here I can open up, here I can be myself, is a big relief, or felt like a big relief. And only after a while, took me years to actually look beyond the facade, and see beyond the facade, and see that again I was stuck, that this community had a set of beliefs that were very limiting, that kept you actually also in a prison, in a way, in a spiritual prison, where a lot of spiritual bypassing could go on, because you felt like, but I'm in the right place at the right time, that because you were told that you're there and you are chosen. And that's very limiting. It's very limiting to believe that you need a teacher to tell you what to do, you know. So I'm still very grateful for that part in my life, because again, it taught me to emancipate myself from beliefs, from a structure, uh, from being told what to do, and trusting. Finally, leaving the community was felt like a step into maturity, to trust my own voice, to trust my own intuition. And until then, I had looked for guidance, guidance in a through a teacher, through and some sort of authority. And leaving then was basically a step into the unknown and saying, no, from now on, I trust my own guidance, my own intuition. Yeah. So did I answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and mirrors this my own story too. It's important leaving the ideal family, the seeming ideal family, and the sense of belonging, and somehow needing to leave and maybe feeling exiled and not belonging and being alone in the world. Facing all of this was initiatory. Um, what do you mean by? Can you describe your understanding of spiritual bypassing? You meant that you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think spiritual bypassing is very common, and I'm not saying I was above it, or that there's a sure way around it. I think it's using spirituality to avoid work on being here now.
Yeah.
Looking for some kind of state, and the community we were in was an example of that. You were constantly hunting for states, higher states.
Yeah.
And you were denying you were denying yourself, your body, your emotions. There was a lot of denial and or repressing. So spiritual bypassing is for me when I feel that something is not looked at but avoided, and then you use nice words, you use nice theories to avoid looking at the problem,
Yeah.
And going back to acting, that's when I teach acting or do my classes, or the conscious acting, is not to avoid the conflict. In acting, you're paid to go into the conflict and make it transparent for the audience. And in a similar way, I think we are asked to use our conflicts we encounter in our lives to experience through them and grow through them. And when we repress them, they're going to come back another way. They're going to come back again and again. And we are blocked in a certain development unless we go into the conflict and allow the conflict to be, until we grow out of it. But we can't grow out of it if we avoid it.
Yeah, totally agree.
So if I go again, take the acting example, there are sometimes actresses who don't like fear. They say, I don't like fear. So they avoid every situation, and thus they always stay in their comfort zone. They make themselves small because they don't want to go into a situation where they don't know what's happening. Then there are people that really despise anger, anger as a negative emotion. It's destructive. So they have this mask of always smiling, always be kind. But in acting, that's very destructive. And I think in life as well, if we don't acknowledge the anger we may hold,
yeah,
only then can we solve it. It's a human emotion, and it's a signal for something. And by avoiding it, you avoid the signal.
Yeah, that's interesting hearing you say that. I know, therapeutically speaking, from experience and working with many people, that somebody that is not comfortable with fear, somebody who's not comfortable with anger or with saying no or with allowing grief, this, and maybe using some spiritual technique to transcend it, to attain a higher presence, or to right away blow some blue light on my fear and to invoke something or switch it to gratitude. So somehow being very squirmy about any unpleasantness within ourselves, this creates a lot of problems, patterns of inauthenticity, patterns of repression. Sooner or later, this, yeah, our relationships can't be harmonious if I'm not real, you know. And sooner or later, also for many people, it becomes what's called somatization, like all of this lack of allowing ourselves to be free and real starts to create autoimmune diseases or chronic pain or various things like that. Anyway, it's interesting that even at the short life of an actor, basically the repression, the lack of authenticity, the lack of embodiment of an actor will show as being a bad actor, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think you need access to the whole range of your emotions and have an awareness of them, and then consciously decide how to use them, how to work with them. You know?
Yes.
It's not that you're a victim to your emotions. You're using. You have an awareness of your emotions, of your emotional life. The same way you have an awareness of your body. You're not victim of your body. It's a tool you're using. You know, and it's our tool now. That the body, our emotions, is the tool we are given to experience life in a way. You know, our mind. So that's also the actor's tools, and the more you have an awareness of it, the better. The fuller you can become in your experiencing and in your expression.
Yeah. So tell me, after the experience in California where we met and we spent a bunch of years, and so leaving that, I know that your spiritual search or your practice didn't stop. It just become more free and deepening, and you went different directions. I went different directions. So which impactful directions you went to? I'm asking you in terms of what some other teachings or teachers or methodologies that impacted you and helped you to be what you are now.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's a succession of teachings, I would say. So when I left the community, I was very much involved with the teaching of David Hawkins. You know, I read all his books, saw a lot of his lectures, and it's still important. Like the book Letting Go is still very important to me, and I use it a lot for my acting classes as well, because it gives you a very structured oversight about the emotions and how to move from one emotion to another and the vibration of an emotion. So David Hawkins is very important. Then I was for a while into Seth. You know, I read all the Seth books. Then also Teal Swan. I really appreciate her teachings, her books, her lectures, especially about working with your inner child, with the wounded child, with shadow work. I took a lot from there. And these days, since a few years, I follow Paul Selig and his channelings. Paul Selig, I'm Word was his first book, and now The Kingdom, which helped me to find, you know, like a line in my daily life, you know, like a thread to, you know, also have input. I give a lot in my classes. I have to teach a lot. I'm teaching every day, and I learn through that teaching a lot, of course, because I observe. I learn with every student, as they say, and which is really true if you try to work with each student individually. You have always new challenges, which makes the work exciting, but also to have some input, you know. So this is, yeah, I would say vorselig in the moment. I got into the Shambhala teachings lately, which goes very well with each other.
I remember you were into, or you did several times, the Course in Miracles.
Yes, actually, I just finished in this last year, basically. I did it last year again. Course of Miracles, I can only highly suggest that to everyone, because it's, if you do the study book, the textbook, and the workbook, it's a profound experience. I can't say it differently. It's a profound experience to do these steps every day, to do an exercise every day, to allow your perception to change, which is again a big thing. You know, we grow up with beliefs, and these beliefs determine our perception, and our perception determines our thinking, our feeling, our emotions, and finally our actions. So it all goes back to beliefs and the perceptions that are a result of our beliefs. The Course of Miracles is fantastic in working with your perception and allowing your perception to change, and to be open to change your perception and not to take anything as a given. You know, we take so many things for granted, the way we think, our habits, and to look at them, really look at them and allow yourself to question your habits, your ways of thinking, of feeling, and maybe shifting it here or there.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's very big overlap with my work. And we were not aware, I was not aware of this when we were doing a spiritual fourth way work at that time. But basically, the child perceives the world and perceives mommy and daddy and perceives how they interact and perceives things, and then interprets, like a 4-year-old in us or 5-year-old interprets, like, I can't be myself. I mean, it doesn't even think like this, but there's some conclusion. I can't be myself. I have to hide. I have to be good. I need to be perfect. I'm not worthy. I have to be careful. So certain imprints that are layered many times in when we are very open, and somehow those create some filter, our glasses, and then we see the world, we see our relationship, women, jobs, through those filters. So you are talking about looking at those filters, basically, not just looking through the filters, but looking at the filters and looking and seeing, hey, is this true? Is this real? Is this serving me somehow? And yeah, it's amazing.
Again,
Go ahead.
And there are wonderful acting exercises for that you can use, you know, and that I'm excited to share on in the workshop, because basically that's what you do in acting. You change your glasses, you change the filter for that role, you change your point of view. So there's basically an exercise, point of view work, you know, where you just change your point of view. And usually in the beginning, actors are a little bit resistant to it because they feel comfortable in their point of view and how the world has to be, because that's how they see it. And then you try to walk in someone else's their shoes for a while, change your perception, change the glasses you're wearing. So that's exciting, because that's what you basically realize. It's just a decision. A belief is just a decision. It's a decision to look at it this way. Yeah, you can change the decision. You can have another look at it, different perspective. It's just a decision. It's not given.
Yeah, the tricky part is that these decisions are hidden from us. For most people, we live in some kind of zombie asleep state. So these decisions, these parameters, these programs, I like to call them programs, that form the filter, they are subconscious or unconscious. So it requires quite a lot of presence and skill, not just presence in the here and now, but somehow to unpack and uncover these are hidden, you know, to see them. And even if I see them, I've been believing them for like 35 years, and it's my experience not going to go away just like that. So, you know, the programming was
Right.
persistent. The deprogramming needs to be a little persistent too. I guess the good side is that the truth is on our side. You know, truth prevails, I guess, sooner or later, hopefully.
Well, it's our journey. I think we're all traveling that direction, you know, with a little sideways here and there. But that's basically the ultimate goal. And again, it's also, I mean, it's like it's layers and layers of beliefs and habits.
Yeah,
To think that you could do it within a day or two is maybe an illusion, but
yeah,
knowing where you want to go gives you, I think, the will and the commitment.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not about optimizing yourself. You know, it's not about changing one mask for a more attractive one. You
yeah,
know, that you think, oh, this mask, this habit is more attractive, that behavior is more attractive, that thinking is more attractive. It's about really going deep to your truth, to the truth
yeah.
of your existence, if you want to say that. I mean, it's a little bit big, but
So if somebody will come to
that's
you,
our
they
journey.
like you and they like your energy and what you're saying, and they are interested in spiritual work or getting closer to the truth of what they are, or, you know, I was looking at your website. Um, Important keywords for you here is like find harmony in this life, harmony with all realms, harmony to find the soul's perspective and purpose, full expression. Anyway, my question is, so somebody comes to you eager and receptive and says, hey, what do I need to do? I'm a little unhappy, I'm miserable, and I don't know what's happening, I'm lost. What will be some, after your experience of 30 or more years of spiritual work, what would be healthy, no bullshit, useful, skillful practice, way of looking at oneself? What's the map that you would offer, and some of the tools that you would offer
Okay.
for people coming to you, not necessarily to be better actors, but they are interested in a harmony, awakening, truth?
Okay, it's a good question. I think the map is a good metaphor for that, because basically I would have to look first, where are you on the map? Where is this person on the map? And then we can decide from that point what possible paths are there. Because it really depends where you are and what you can work with. You know, sometimes from the outside, something is very obvious to me, but that person might not be ready to look at it. You know, for example, if there's a traumatic experience, sometimes it's very obvious it's someone's behavior. You know, but they are not ready to look at it. They say, no, I'm good with that, I have forgiven that person, I'm fine. And you feel like they're not ready to go into it. They're not ready to go into the pain that they have experienced. They try to jump that step, which is not really possible.
Yeah.
You know, so then I would have to, you know, gently guide them or help them that it's necessary to look at it. But I can't and I won't force it. Of course, it's just proposing the possibility to look at it and to feel that they have a safe space where they can do that. You know, that's important, that they have a space, that you're given a space where you feel like you can go into something and trust that you can go through the process, that there's in the process, and not feel lost or alone. So it really depends how much that person is able to see themselves and see where they are. And also there's a lot of literature, there's a lot of things out there that I could recommend, to start with, but yeah, you never go wrong with inner child work.
Yeah. I always recommend new people come to me, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, audiobook, listen. It's not going to hurt. It's a good entry.
Right.
That's deep teaching,
Yeah.
yet, very accessible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something for me. That's basically the entryway to the spiritual path, something like that. It's very general. It's very gentle in a way, very soft. It's just an idea. Why don't you try to be in the now? It's like a doorway, and then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, if you like, or further and further and further, depending on the imagery you use.
Sorry,
but
go ahead.
I mean, the goal for me is, if we talk about harmony, is to achieve a state of fearlessness, to achieve a state where you allow yourself to look at yourself and your place in your life where you are right now, and to be fearless about it, to trust in the goodness of life. That would be a goal, to trust that you have a reason to be here, that you have circumstances. Again, I connect that with the idea of acting, that a role is given a circumstance, that the role is has a purpose in a play, has a journey. And the same is true for us in life. We have a circumstance where we come from. We have relationships that we have that determine our beginnings, where we start from. And we have a goal. We definitely have a goal. It might be covered under expectations, under fear, but we definitely have a goal, an objective. And if we look at circumstances where we come from, it often gives a hint about the objective. Yeah.
Yeah.
I compare it with the bow and the arrow. Yeah. If you have the bow strung and tension on it, that's your circumstances. And the arrow is where you want to go. The stronger the circumstances, the more you pull the bow, the further you can fly. That's an image I like to use for that.
Yeah. Let me ask you something here. Yeah, so I guess for me, it took me a long time of doing sincere, seemingly very focused spiritual work, at the same time ignoring big areas that were very relevant in order to have inner harmony and truth. So I was doing spiritual consciousness work, presence, all kind of stuff, trying to reach higher states, while having completely oblivious to the impact of childhood wounding, the impact of developmental traumas, the impact of the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle, my own pain body, the pain body of my family, of my lineage, of Eastern Europe, totally oblivious to the fact that relationships are excellent training for spiritual work. I thought that, that past doesn't matter, relationship don't matter, I'm just doing my own. At the same time, underneath all this presence and so-called spiritual work, there's a lot of not feeling stuff, being stuck somatically, not aware of what's in my chest, what's in my gut, not welcoming feelings, resisting, transcending, pushing them away. So it took me a lot of other teachings and a lot of humbling and suffering to look at spiritual work in another way, and which I see that although we haven't talked much, I see in what you describe in the framework as being your conscious acting method of working on oneself using acting. I can see that although we haven't talked, we are kind of on a similar page. So important tenets to be authentic, to find harmony within aspects of oneself, to see the faults and not act from the faults. So I liked what you said. If you can talk a little bit about that, there was a striking image that, let's say, you meet two people meet, and there are actually 6 people there. So like different sub-identities, different imaginary identities, and the real identity. Can you go a little bit into that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I try to keep it simple. So when you meet someone, there's the way you want the other person to see you, but you're hiding probably a lot also.
Yeah, how we want to be seen.
You're trying to be seen a certain way. Yeah, you try to be seen a certain way, and then you have that inner conflict and tension and maybe shame going on. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's a kind of stressful, that upholding.
Very stressful, yeah. It's very stressful. It's very stressful, and usually those things come out later. Anyway, so there's a way you want to be seen, and then there is the person that the other one projects on you. Mm-hmm. And then there's the real you underneath somewhere, So that's basically three variations of me. And then you have the other person, so there's 6. Mm-hmm. And my idea within the framework that I offer, the foundation of my conscious acting teaching sessions, is that I have exercises that allow you to meet truthfully in an authentic way. Mm-hmm. Those exercises are designed that you can't keep the masks on. Mm-hmm. Through the exercise, you let go more and more of who you try to be or who you pretend to be. And that allows the other person to see you more. And they let go more and more of their projections because they see a real you.
Yeah.
Not the expectation of what they want you to be or need you to be. So yeah, I mean that's the idea, and in my experience, it works fantastically. You have had that experience when we did this little session last time, the 10-15 minutes that we did. It connects you to your core truth or authentic self, however you want to call that. And it's beautiful. If you watch that, it's beautiful. If 2 people get into the flow of being with each other truthfully, it's beautiful to see. You feel when you observe it, the tension when people try to pretend something, to be in a certain way. Then when it eases, when it relaxes, and they meet truthfully, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's a different experience for them. They're in the flow, what it's called in the arts, being in the flow. They're in the flow of contact. And I think we talked about relationships earlier. That's also the ultimate goal for a relationship. It's to be in the flow with each other, to allow each other to see who the other person is, and I mean, if I go back to my experience, I looking back at some things, I had such strong anger issues. Really, I tried to be a very spiritual person. I mean, I meditated. I'd be externally very, conscious person. Try to imitate that as best as possible. and having a huge anger inside. And because of the anger, a lot of shame, and the other way around, because there was a lot of shame, not knowing who I am, trying to be someone, there was a lot of anger because there's friction. And to finally allow myself to see that and to be with that allowed the transformation. It allowed myself to react differently if those impulses come.
Yeah. So if I can,
that's one of the goals. Yeah.
On your the what you described with the 3 aspects that come up, and 2 people having now 6 aspects. That's very this is very much the anatomy of wounding and falling asleep to our true nature. And basically in child, it's as kids, we are spontaneous for some time and free and open and unashamed, unabashedly free. But then something happens, somebody says something, our parents or environment is not okay with this undomesticated nature, and we get some flack or something. And then we develop this other, there's a hurt, and then we adapt as a child consciousness, we develop something else, a strategic identity, they call it, I'm going to be like this, which is for protection, or it's strategic, get love, get approval, or to avoid being hurt. And so that difference to people, like, oh, to be perfect, or to hide, or to be I'm better than you guys, or there's something wrong with me, or I need to be charming and seductive. So all of these, yeah, I guess we unconsciously abandon our spontaneous tendencies and natural expression, and we cultivate this strategic persona that we try to uphold. And yeah, what I really appreciate, even like the 15 minutes exercise we've done, is that in psychotherapy, it will take quite a bit of time for me to see those aspects, and also for the client to see those aspects of oneself that are not the real authentic expression. And I really appreciate how it was stirred very fast. So I'm really excited about, it's kind of shortcut to accessing and stirring to the surface unconscious material. I'm excited about this workshop we're going to do together. Can you talk a little bit about this metaphor of allegory of the actor and the role? It appears in many spiritual traditions as a map towards in the play and the role, and who is who.
Yeah, very, very simply put, it's the soul is the actor, and our manifestation on the earth, being in this world, is the role that we are playing this lifetime, that we chose, And an actor, he doesn't die with his role. The role comes to an end, or the performance comes to an end. He goes home, prepares for the next. So that's a metaphor. Basically, you choose a role, you have a choice in that. You're not thrown into something. You always have a choice. And I believe strongly that we have a choice, that our soul chooses the role that is best for the process, for the next step in evolution, for the growth. Chooses the circumstances also, those circumstances that will help bring that path to the forefront of your life. And that's basically the metaphor. And an actor chooses how he prepares. There's a certain kind of preparation you do for a role. And there's a lot of decisions that an actor has to take, how to give life to the role, how to embody this role. It's his choice, and then along the way, you make just other decisions. So I don't think the play is written. I don't think the outcome is given. it is that you give yourself circumstances, and then it's a good improvisation. It's an improvisation on the theme. And within that improvisation, you always constantly have checks and feedbacks, you reflect and take new decisions. But there is basically a pool of possibilities within this role, within this improvisation. But you can't step outside that improvisation. Then you would have to leave the role. So the improvisation has elements that are given, that are decided beforehand. That's going to be a relationship there. That's going to be a challenge there. You're going to meet this on the path, probably. So there are elements in that improvisation that are given. And then when you step into it, you figure your way out and take decisions. And based on this decision, the next step will unfold, and so on. But the characters basically are already, they are chosen beforehand. So that's why I call it framework. There's a frame that is already given, and within that frame, you act your role to the best of your being at that time.
So I'm not usually using this term soul much, but I guess to synchronize terms, I guess the actor is being the soul, the actor being what we call consciousness or the conscious presence.
Sure.
Is this what you mean by soul? Yeah.
Yes, higher self. You could call it higher self. Awareness.
And the role is like Mihai or Andre, the body-mind structure.
Exactly.
The body-mind structure.
Exactly.
Basically, perhaps I know how it works with past lives and all of this. If it's true, I'm open to verifying, but it's not urgent. I guess there are certain inclinations, tendencies that the soul, let's say the body-mind structure, the Mihai or the Andre, it has certain tendencies, certain strengths and propensities. Some which is true. Some it's in the nature of a Chihuahua to be like wow, 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 and it's in the nature of Great Dane to be in a certain way. So yeah,
that's basically what we choose beforehand. We choose the elements, what will make our body mind, what is the tool we experience life through, so there's some fixed things, and again the circumstances are given, but then how we work with that is up to us in the moment. Like the actor has to be present in the role, in the moment of playing it. It doesn't run mechanically. You can't run a theater performance mechanically. You have to be present there. You have to be in the moment. That's the beauty about acting. I think that's why many are addicted to it, because it forces you to be in the moment. If you're in front of the camera on stage, you are there in the moment. You have to react in the moment. The actor is aware of himself playing the role, and yet he's fully in the role.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. And then you're aligned, and that's basically the idea for our lives. I think that we have the ability to be aligned to our higher self, to our consciousness, and be in the moment and experience life through that role that we are playing in the moment.
Yeah. So basically, we are not going.
And maybe let me just finish that.
Yes. Go.
So, and to fully express this role, we have to become aware of limiting beliefs, of limiting habits. The same way the actor has to become aware of his limitations so he can better perform in the role.
Yeah.
And I think whatever holds us back is an opportunity to work on us, to reflect and give more of our being to the experience, and thus have a richer experience. So it goes back both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, so everything that holds us back and there's some suffering, actually it's like a great opportunity. It's not a problem, it's not a mistake, it's the training.
No.
As David Hawkins would say, is the stack, the next stack of karma on your spiritual desk, basically. You need to face it.
It's opportunity, exactly. Yeah, it's an opportunity and not a limitation that is meant to stay.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I appreciate about this acting as a modality to deprogram our inner freedom and authenticity, because this brings this element of embodiment and being fully expressed and fully real. And it took me a lot of my spiritual path was, I was trying to be spiritual. I was trying to appear like this. There was these ideas which are limiting beliefs, actually, some story of spirituality where I'm peaceful and at all times and never get angry and noble and sophisticated or whatever, some idea of what awakening is. And actually this teacher, then I'm imitating this teacher, I'm becoming this teacher. Anyway, these are early phases of spirituality. But I guess they even say
the same with acting, you know,
right.
I think everything that we learn new, we maybe it's meant that way, that we first do it by imitation and then slowly realize that is not our truth. This is not who we are. We have to learn it our way. We have to experience it our way. Because the same as with acting, you know, people try to be good actors, try to be like this one, and to work with them and make them realize, no, it's interesting. It becomes fascinating when you are you and you don't try to act something. Yeah. You experience that. You live in the moment. That's when it becomes interesting to watch, you know. And the same with spirituality. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone who didn't experience at first the way you're describing it, trying to be spiritual, trying to already, you know, be enlightened the first time you sit down to meditate.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe it has to be that way. And it's beautiful because we slowly can narrow it down to what is our experience in it. Our spirituality lives through us.
Yeah, you know, I see that however we go about the spirituality, we need to come back to rescue this realness, being authentic, and this is very hard. You know, I know some people, they go about, okay, cleaning up the ship, letting go of falseness, becoming more authentic, and then this allows for them to at some point have recognition. So let's say the ship, the machinery is cleaner, less static, and less debris. Then there are more chances for us to realize, have some recognition of our true nature, you know, wake up to our true nature as being the actor, as the presence. Some other people, they have a recognition, they do some work, they have some recognition of what we are, of being the presence. However, the system is still clogged and is not authentic. So I found out that either you go option A or you go option B, you still need to clean up the ship and somehow see whatever is there that prevents me to do and say whatever I want. Of course, within ethical things like that. So to be real, to be a free radical, you know, free of, you know, in the fourth way, they had this inner considering, free from identification of what other people think about me, how to be seen, to be liked, to be totally free from any the need of be liked, pleased, loved, approved, venerated, and to just not give a shit. And this is very fucking spiritual, basically, I found out. And I find that this framework method that I experienced just a little bit, it's a big shortcut. to cut the theory, cut the books, cut the workshops, and very fast I could see 3 months ago, 5 months ago, in my friend, you were working with her, it brought up core wound, repressed hatred towards somebody, this, that, sadness, grief, I can't be myself. It was like amazing. So
Yeah, yeah, it is amazing. I mean, I'm very happy and grateful that I'm able to teach that and to work with that. That I found this way of teaching that grew out of my acting experience of being an acting teacher. But also, I just want to say something to, because sometimes there's a fear in these exercises. Oh, but I don't want to hurt anyone when I express myself. I don't want to, do anything ugly or negative. And I always encourage everyone to not judge beforehand, because what I find 100% always is underneath that all is the desire, the longing to love, to be loved, and to connect. And you find that what in the Shambhala tradition is called the basic goodness underneath. That's basically the ground. So everything else is only a step towards that. In these exercises, you basically work through yourself through. If anger comes up, you work through the anger. If hatred comes up, you work through the hatred. And it's towards the realization that underneath is actually only the desire to connect from heart to heart. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's because everyone has that desire, everyone has that longing.
Yes, but in childhood it was not safe to connect and to be open. So we carry all these imprints and wounds, and so it takes a lot of courage and skillful maps and dedication to face the fear and to see that it is safe to be myself. Actually, it is easier, it is more relaxing, and my life it gets much better. And to pick up what you said, how we can't have a good connection if I'm fake, if I don't say no, if I don't express my anger, if I don't express what I want, if I'm trying to be nice. How can I have a good connection?
It will only last that long. The illusion will only last that long, and then with the next challenge it will start to crumble, and you will have to be facing again the difficulties. And it's a next opportunity, though, right? I mean, it's just the next opportunity to now face it. The next crisis is the next opportunity until you solve it, until you become comfortable being yourself, step by step. Big words. It's step by step.
So we are coming more like to the end of this interview, and I would like you to speak about. So we are going to have a little short video soon, not right now, where we are going to speak about this training coming up soon. I would like you to talk about people who watch these videos in Europe and all of that. So what is your offering? Where people can find you? What type of things you offer? You have one-on-one sessions, or you have small groups or intensives, or can you share with people who are interested in your work where you can find you, and we can put your website here at the bottom and all of that?
Right. So the website is framework-method.com. There you find all the information and the basically outline of the idea, the teaching of the framework and conscious acting. You can contact me, just write email in the contact form. And mostly I do one-on-ones, and every couple of months I also do weekend sessions, workshops with a group. So yeah.
And you are located in Berlin now, yeah?
I'm in Berlin, yes, I'm in Berlin.
Do you also have, can you do like a online one-on-one session, people who are not there, or it has to be in person?
I'm basically working on it, but I think this work is so much, since it's very physical, emotional work also. It's I feel for the benefit of everyone, it's good to be in the room together. You know, it's a different energy if you feel physically the other person, or yeah, the energy in the room, or the vibration between people, and to have a space where you can move, where you can, you know, it's I haven't figured out yet how to do it online, honestly. Because it's so much based on acting, exercises with body, mind, emotions, that it's also important to move, to
I understand.
physically.
Although I must say, because of this pandemic, I was forced to just do Zoom, and I could see that, you know, one can have still tremendous benefit from still going deep and processing, releasing, going into deep stuff like that. So yeah, but anyway,
I
so
do it one-on-one. One-on-one is I do Zoom as well, but with a group, I like to have them in the. I have a big studio. There's a lot of space. I like to use the space. You know, but one-on-one is always possible online.
All right, Andre. Well, thank you for your time, and look forward to have you here and go to archery and talk about our spiritual adventures and do this workshop soon.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited about the workshop.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, may it benefit everyone, and thank you, Andre. May you continue to shine